My name is Joel Lattimore, and I am the outreach specialist and an aquatic ecologist here in the Department of Fisheries and Wildlife at Michigan State University. And one of my jobs here is helping to coordinate the Michigan Clean Water Corps, or MiCorps, which is our statewide volunteer lake and stream monitoring program. Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that MiCorps does is offer grants to get programs up and running. So we work with a lot of new programs, especially for stream monitoring, but also for lake monitoring. And there's a few things that we find work really well. First of all, don't bite off more than you can chew in that first year or two. Start small. Limit the number of sites or lakes that you're planning to volunteer monitor. Don't try and take on everything all at once because you're going to go through some growing pains. You're going to decide how you're going to run this program, how you're going to manage your volunteers, even simple things like where you're going to meet and how you're going to get people their monitoring equipment all needs to be worked out. So starting out small is a really wise thing to do. You can always grow your program, but you don't want to head off in one direction with 100 volunteers and then decide you want to change everything. So start small. Another thing to think about is how you're going to keep your program going, sustainability. So for a lot of programs, having a person who can coordinate the program, gather the information, write reports, those kinds of things, you might want to have a paid person to do that. So thinking about where you get funding to support a volunteer coordinator for your program. And there may also be equipment expenses and those kinds of things. So thinking about how you would keep the program sustainable from a funding standpoint. Don't write off volunteer management. It's an important task. They don't just show up and want to work for you. You're going to have to do some care and feeding of your volunteers to keep them interested, to keep them engaged. And so remember that's going to take some time. So you should budget some time and resources towards volunteer recruitment and retention, how you're going to manage those volunteers. So those are some of the key ideas that I would definitely recommend. And I think it's also important for volunteer programs who want to collect defensible data that are actually going to be used for management. If you don't have someone on staff with the technical expertise to help you understand those data and what they mean, to make some connections and partner with someone, whether it's at a local university, local natural resource agency, having someone to kind of be a science advisor or technical advisor for your program can really help a lot. They can help you define your questions, choose study sites, interpret the data that you're collecting, and so forth, and that can be a real benefit to a program. There's a few things about MiCorps that I think really contribute to its success. It's a statewide monitoring program, and because it's statewide, one of the things that we do is we coordinate the procedures and protocols that all of the volunteer programs across the state are using. So a watershed group on the east side of the state is collecting the same kind of data that a watershed group on the north side of the state is doing, and we can compare all of those sites together, and the volunteers can learn from each other, and that really streamlines things. So that really is one of the strengths, is that there's a central coordination of the program. Another key facet of the program that I think really contributes to the success of MiCorps is that it's run as a partnership program. It's not just run out of MSU or just from the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality, but there's a number of organizations that work together as the implementation team to actually make MiCorps happen. So because of that partnership, I think we're able to build on the strengths of all of our partners and really have an exciting and successful program. And for number 3, I would point to our online database. All of the data that are collected by our volunteers on lakes and in streams and rivers all get fed into a single publicly available online database that anyone can look at. So those data are really valuable for the volunteers to be able to go back and look at. They don't necessarily have to manage their own data. They can just use our statewide database to manage their program's data. And a lot of other groups and individuals are interested too. We get a lot of hits from researchers and academics in Michigan and beyond. We get a lot of interest from people that might not actually be monitors, but they're curious about the health of a local lake or stream. A lot of government agencies that are doing natural resource protection are out there looking at it, and so it's a really valuable resource, and it goes all the way back to when monitoring started in Michigan back in 1974.